In last week's video, we made the components for our decorative Victorian-style fence, and if you hadn't seen that video already, then please do go and take a look. Because I talk too much, I've had to make this a 3-video set, and this week we start part 2 by fabricating the 3 fence sections from the components we made last week. So it's time for our first glue up. This is where things get a little bit tense. It's all going to get a bit gluey and a bit messy, so in order to try and prevent that, we just make a few little things. Try and take off the burrs on any of the little spindles, because we don't want those getting trapped in the mortises, these little things. And the other thing I found is that when you've got 5 joins and you're trying to fit a top onto it, just taking the sharp edge off those upper dominoes actually gets them into the mortise that little bit easier, because they can be very tight. And the other thing, of course, is just to make sure you've got everything to hand that you think you're going to need. So we've got our top and bottom rails face towards us. We've got our 5 little spindles, uprights, face towards us. We've got 5 dominoes to do the bottom, and we've got 5 with a little bit of trim on them to do the top. So what we'll do, so with everything handy, we can fit the uprights to the bottom rail with 5 by 30mm dominoes and insert our trimmed dominoes into the top of the uprights, ready for the top rail. Okay, that was an easy bit. There comes the challenge. Well, okay then. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Okay. Plan B. Okay, whenever you put stuff in clamps like this, it's worth clamping from both sides, then it resists the urge to sort of bow in one direction or another, but that seems to have gone fairly well. Let's wipe off a bit of this excess glue. So, normally I would have painted or at least primed this by now, especially with all these fiddly little bits, but for external woodwork, external joinery, it's the paint, although this is redwood which is naturally resilient, it's the paint that gives it its actual protection. So I want to be able to get a skin of paint, preferably 2 or 3, all around these joins where these uprights and the rails are butt, and where the rails join onto the posts. I want to get those really well sealed up, simply because that's the last sort of line of defence against the weather. Now, I'll move that to one side. Having had a little bit of practice, the second section goes pretty easily, without a single drama or crisis. Okay, last one. I know I normally say things like, oh, you could use dowels or biscuits for this application. You could probably, biscuits obviously not for this. You could probably use dowels, although certainly for the ends, a couple of big 1/2 or 3/4 inch dowels in there would be okay. The trouble with using dowels for these little rails, there isn't space really to get 2 in, so you'd have to put 1 in, and obviously you'd need to be careful that it doesn't sort of twist. I mean, that concern is taken away from us with dominoes, of course, which is a really good thing to have. So yeah, you could use dowels obviously, but just be careful when you're assembling it that these don't sort of twist, at least until the glue's dry. It's always slightly scary when you use dominoes without the sort of wiggle room of a slightly wider slot. But the huge benefit of it is that it either fits or it doesn't. There's only one way that it goes in, so I think I'm quite happy with that. Incidentally, if you're ever stuck for a gift idea for Christmas or a birthday, clamps. You can never have too many clamps. Even cheap and cheerful ones like this. I think I paid about £20, $25, $30, something like that for these 6 clamps off eBay. Really cheap and cheerful. You know what? They clamp things. That's really all you really need. You can apply more pressure with these than you can with your bare hands. And that's all I want from a clamp.
Once the glue is set, the sections are unclamped, ready for the next stage. With our 3 rail and upright sections all set, we can mark the mortise positions on the posts, then run a quick test on an offcut of the post stock.
I can live with that, it's centred. It's really good.
Before moving on to cut all the post mortises in the usual way.
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to join the 2 end sections to the posts, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we'll join 2 to 3 with the middle section when those 2 are all glued up. That's the theory anyway.
I'm using 10 by 50mm dominoes to join the rails to the posts, with plenty of glue and a little helpful persuasion from a Nomar hammer, and with everything previously measured and tested, it all goes together as planned. Letting me move on to the second section quickly and methodically in the same way. With the end sections all set and unclamped, we can join these together using our centre section. First to the left, and then to the right. And once again, a little more persuasion is needed at either end before we can pull everything together tightly with a pair of sash clamps.
One of the problems that you can get when you're clamping stuff like this, if you clamp it at the front, it kind of bows slightly, and we are getting that a little bit here. So I'm going to try unclamping this bit and clamping one of them from behind.
To help straighten things out, I use a small block clamped to the bench to keep the end posts in place, and a small clamp behind the centre posts to push them forward slightly, checking for straightness with a simple string line along the front of the posts, and across the tops of the posts to check for any sag.
So there we go, it's about as straight as we can reasonably expect it to be over 3 centimetres, 10, 11 feet. There's a little bit of filling to do up here. Obviously it all needs a rub down, all the old glue scraped off, a little tickle of filler, some of the sharp edges taking off, then we can start priming and painting that tomorrow. But for now, yeah, that's until that's set, we'll call that a day. As always, hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it useful. Be sure to join me next time in the 3rd part of this 3-part series, when we'll be having some painting and preparation tips, as well as getting this fence delivered and finally installed in perhaps the shortest installation video I've ever done. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.